Mali denounces negative outside influences and attempts to instrumentalize certain legally present entities in Mali to serve hidden agendas, including by exploiting the question of human rights in order to destabilize. President, the world will remember that after having been abandoned mid-flight on the 10th of June 2021 by France, which unilaterally decided to withdraw its Barkhane force from Mali, my country was then stabbed in the back by the French authorities. It is extremely important to say that we refuse any amalgam with the French people, whom we respect. The deeply anti-French authorities have denied the universal moral values and repudiated these and betrayed the humanistic legacy of their philosophers, and they are now serving an obscurant junta. So deeply anti-French French forces have rejected universal moral values and betrayed the great humanist and philosophical heritage. They have now become an obscurantist junta. Let me repeat this once again. The anti-French French authorities have rejected universal moral values and betrayed the great heritage of their philosophers and have become a junta serving obscurantism. An obscurant French junta who is nostalgic for neo-colonialist, condescending, paternalistic and vengeful practices, which has carried out unprecedented illegal, illegitimate sanctions by the ECOWAS and UMOA against Mali. After 10 years of insecurity leading to thousands of deaths, refugees and internally displaced, is it not now a sacrilege for a Malian population who's a victim of insecurity and has been under embargo for 7 months by closing borders and seizing bank accounts in Mali? Thanks to its resilience and the solidarity of friendly countries and the African people, the Malian people is now foiling their plans. The French junta and its obscurantism is guilty of instrumentalizing ethnical differences by forgetting its responsibility for the genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda. It was also guilty of desperate attempts to divide Malian children from the same families. Finally, an obscurantist French junta which has violated Malian airspace by sending aircraft such as drones, military helicopters and fighter planes over 50 times, bringing information, weapons and ammunition to terrorist groups.
In order to ease its conscience, the French junta accuses Mali of not having been grateful, banging on about the regrettable death of 59 French soldiers in Mali during various counter-terrorism operations. Regarding this unfortunate accusation, we'd like to remind you that in most Malian official statements and in ceremonies, we systematically pay tribute to all victims of insecurity in Mali, with no distinction based on nationality, including, therefore, those 59 French people who died. Thus, we would urge them not to stop, since they're going along the right lines. They should turn back the clock. Let's look at their intervention in Libya that's decried by all of Africa. And let's not forget the forced participation of thousands of Africans in the First and Second World War. And let's not forget the slave trade, which explains the economic well-being of their country. How many Africans died for France and the free world in which we live? So, given the serious nature of the facts committed by the French junta, Mali, in its letter dated the 15th of August 2022, requested the holding of an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council. The aim of this is to enable Mali to present evidence that it has showing that the French army attacked on numerous occasions my country by violating repeatedly and frequently Mali's airspace without the authorization of the Malian authorities, and sometimes by falsifying flight documents. More seriously, Mr. President, Mali will be able to prove that the French junta provided intelligence and arms to terrorist groups. The government of Mali is wondering about the reasons that have encouraged this permanent member of the Security Council, and one that has the presidency of the body, to prevent obstacles to the debate because of the truth. The world needs to be enlightened on the serious facts that took place in Mali and which are at the basis of the worsening insecurity and destabilization in Mali. Through seizing the Security Council, the government of Mali is seeking to ensure that this important body that's in charge of the maintenance of international peace and security, to ensure that it faces its responsibilities and denounces the abuse of the French junta against my country. These hostile acts are incompatible with the UN Charter and its statute as a permanent member. The credibility of our joint mechanism depends on it, as does the effectiveness of our fight against terrorism, but in particular, so does the integrity of the UN. That inter alia is based on the respect of international commitments, international law, of the UN Charter. Mr. President, it seems important for Mali to call for your personal involvement with the Security Council of the United Nations, so that our request be successful, so that this duplicity and the proxy war imposed upon my country stops. Mr. President, in combating terrorism and violent extremism, the government of Mali takes very seriously the question of human rights. I'd like to underscore that human rights are first and foremost the values that each Malian embodies. Thus, the government of Mali remains determined to respect them and to ensure they are respected in line with its zero-tolerance policy against impunity. As it's loyal to its ancestral values that are enshrined in the Kurafangua Charter, proclaimed in 12,036 by the Emperor of Mali, Sundite Keita. This is why we believe in this. Mali is a cradle of great civilizations. There were once great empires, a land of exchange, hospitality, and tolerance. Mali makes promoting and defending human rights a national priority. This is why I robustly confirmed that the military operations of the Malian Defence and Security Forces are conducted strictly respecting human rights and international humanitarian law. Nonetheless, as I've underscored, the government of Mali is vehemently opposed to the instrumentalization of the question of human rights for political purposes, is opposed to posturing, blackmail and intimidation. By the same token, we regret the selectivity observed vis-a-vis populations in some villages who are totally massacred and their villages razed to the ground, and there doesn't seem to be any indignation regarding them, and the media manipulation that goes on claiming that terrorists who have been neutralized in the battlefield are in fact innocent civilians. In conclusion, Mr. President, I would like to say that the Malian people have decided to take their destiny into their own hands. They fully support the government as it works in Mali, and also support the return to constitutional order that will be peace and safe in March 2024 following the free, credible and transparent elections.